Hi, John Davis here, CTO of ENTEXS Corporation. Thanks for joining me today. We're at our R&D facility testing our mid-scale extraction system. This is our MIDI. This can operate and process up to 4,500 pounds of biomass per day. We designed the system to be fully autonomous from biomass loading through to extraction, filtration, evaporation, and distillation. So you can generate continuously crude and distillate production. I'm going to be walking through each of these pieces of technology in detail with you. So let's go. Okay, so here I'm standing at the start of our process. This is our biomass feed bin. And so what this piece of equipment does is hold your day's worth of processing. It's not just a holding container, it's also a self-feeding mechanism that loads your conveyor, which feeds into your extraction carousel. We developed this piece of equipment really based on past experience developing extraction systems and the bottlenecks that come along with the front end of the process. And so typically, even if you have an automated extraction routine, there's this front end part of the process that is labor intensive and also offers an inefficiency. That includes loading biomass into mesh bags or other mechanisms. And so we really engineered this piece of equipment to remedy that and offer a hands-free automated solution for loading your biomass into your extraction platform. So what I'm going to show you now is our self-loading conveyor loading our auto weigh scale. And so if you look over here, you can see biomass being loaded into our conveyor, from our conveyor into our weigh hopper. And this is precisely measured. We use precision strain gauge load cells to measure the weight and really set the feedback on how much biomass is loaded into this piece of equipment before it loads our carousel bins. This is a continuous process. The conveyor loads when it's time for each extraction cycle per the user parameters. It loads to the specified weight, and then it loads the extraction carousel. Okay, so we've just loaded our extraction carousel from our weigh bin, and I just want to show you this right here. We have our clean solvent injection. We're running about negative 50 degrees Celsius right now. These lines are really cold, and one thing I want to point out is, this is at ambient, so we have really good insulation on our extraction carousel. It's double walled with a very high R value of insulation and really good piping insulation as well. So we can run very cold. We have a few exposed components here that are showing ice, and this other main part of the vessel is at ambient temperature. So we have a really good thermal insulation on this piece of equipment. Okay, so biomass is loaded from the feed bin into the conveying system. The conveying system takes biomass from the feed bin up into the extraction carousel, where it is auto-weighed and loaded into the carousel for extraction. The user can specify exactly how much biomass to extract, and that is auto-recorded, so extraction efficiencies and total weight can be viewed and monitored. So I'm going to review the HMI interface for the MIDI platform. This interface allows you to really run all of the routines of the system without any interfacing or manual operation of the equipment. So there's really touch button control for extraction, for evaporation, crude production, and distillate production. That allows you to come over and run any of those routines at the push of a button. There's no manual interface with the equipment, and there's no intermediate transfer of products. It's all operated with the control system, with the touchscreen interface. Not only is the control handled with this piece interface, but also you are able to monitor and record important variables such as temperature, extraction temperature, biomass weight, processed weight, tank levels, and whatnot. So this allows you to really have a good visibility of your extraction process and also of the control of that process. Okay, so what we just reviewed was how biomass is loaded into the extraction carousel. So what we're going to review now is how the solvent is circulated and the extraction process really takes place. What you see here is our tincture solvent holding tank, which allows you to do a closed loop ultra cold solvent extraction. We run this unit at -50 and below Celsius using Cascade chilling technology. What that allows you to do is really run the solvent down to the freezing point of ethanol, which is -114 degrees. But if you're below -50 degrees Celsius, you can get a very high quality extraction and not have to go through a bottleneck of winterization. So it's a continuous feed process. We have temperature probes on inlets and outlets and on the tanks for real-time monitoring and time history trends. And we utilize fully rated pumps and heat exchangers that have been designed to maintain solvent temp with the flow rates that we run. On the back side of this, you'll see another tank. This is our clean solvent tank. And what this tank does, it also has a temperature control loop that brings that solvent temperature down to your extraction temp. And we also do a final rinse of your biomass. So as your biomass is being extracted in the extraction carousel, we do a final rinse for a real thorough extraction, and so you get high efficiency. That extraction tincture is pushed into a filtration system. We run submicron pressure filters that allow you to do a really high quality filtration process prior to going directly to evaporation. So you really don't have to run like that bottleneck step of winterization. Like I said, this is a low temp step which bypasses that, allows for a continuous feed process directly to the evaporation routines of crude and distillate production. Okay, so now we're standing in front of our evaporation skid. This piece of equipment operates with the extraction skid and is automated and runs continuously with the skid for continuous operation. So after filtration, tincture is pumped into this pre-evaporation tank, which is a holding tank for the evaporation cycle. The first thing that happens is tincture is pushed into a rising film evaporator. What the rising film evaporator does is allows you to increase the quality of your tincture and start the evaporation process. So after your crude is collected into your holding tanks, there's additional routines that this piece of equipment can perform, and that includes decarb and multi-pass distillation. So with distillation, it's pretty exciting for us because this is a secondary use that's very valuable to customers such as yourself. What this white film evaporator has in it is a big short path condenser that allows you to run first and second and multi-pass distillation routines. We have precise metering pumps with flow control monitoring and recording. And we have a heating loop that can support your temperatures up to 200 degrees Celsius for distillate production. In addition to that, vacuum is a very important part of that process. And we have our vacuum systems that can pump down to the millitorr range for distillate production. Okay, we're standing in front of the last step of the extraction carousel process. So once your extraction routine is complete, biomass is dumped into this screw press dryer. What this piece of equipment allows you to do is recollect any entrained solvent in your biomass. That entrained tincture passes through a set of filtration modules and off to evaporation, which allows you to recollect your solvent and retain your oils that are left in that tincture. Your spent biomass is press dried and pushed to removal bins, which you can dispose of according to your SOP. So I want to showcase our line of Cascade chillers. These pieces of equipment allow you to reach the ultra low temperatures that are used for the extraction process down to -100 and lower degrees Celsius. So this big piece of equipment behind me is the larger unit that we have. This is over 100 kilowatts of cooling capacity. We offer units from 6 kilowatts all the way up to large-scale units that allow for large-scale extraction processes. You can contact our sales team with additional questions. So thank you for taking the time to walk through this brief introduction of our MIDI extraction platform. Like I mentioned, this is a fully autonomous process, hands-free. There's no intermediate transfer of oils or solvents until the final offtake of your final product. I hope you're as excited as we are about this. If you have any further questions, our sales team will be happy to reach out to you. Thanks for your time.